The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. This is episode 134, and I'm your host, Ray Russell. This week, guys, we bring to you the conclusion of June 1988 and the World Wrestling Federation. Lots to jump into here this week. Lots of debuts. The Big Boss Man, the Rockers, the Brother Love Show, and so much more. But before we get rolling, really quickly, just want to wish a happy birthday to my son, Connor, who just turned 15 this week. Connor, a wrestling historian in training. He's got a lot more at his fingertips than I did when I was 15 to learn from. So God bless the internet, and good luck to you learning the wrestling history, Connor. But just wanted to wish you a happy birthday and wanted to say hello to everybody out there. Hope you guys are enjoying your July here in the summer of 2024. And as we're about to jump into July of 1988 on the next episode of The Grenade. But before we can do that, we're going to close out June 88 right here this week. 2 more weeks of WWF TV. So much to get into. And before we do, it's just a quick message from WrestleCopia's own Gene Jackson.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
All right, guys, with that out of the way, the Retro Wrestling Review Podcast, go check it out right now on YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade, and of course at WrestleCopia.com and all of your favorite podcast streaming apps. But right now, jumping back into it, talking about the Wrestling Memory Grenade, and it all kicks off this week with the June 18th edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. All right, guys, and away we go. It's WWF Superstars. June 18th, tape back June the 1st, Oakland, California at the Coliseum. Of course, your announcers, Vince McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura, as we get rolling straight to the ring. Tag team action, going to see the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid with Matilda in their corner, taking on the team of Terry Gibbs and Barry Horowitz. And we get an insert promo straight away from the fabulous Rougeau Brothers. Many American flags and all. The Rougeaus are on their way to becoming full-fledged U.S. citizens. How about that? And because of that, the Rougeaus feel that the American fans should side with them. They're going to be Americanized, if you will. So the Rougeaus asking the fans to side with them should they ever step in the ring with those foreigner British Bulldogs. So they even managed to flub the English word honor here, saying "onator." Just classic heel shit from the Rougeaus. So underappreciated, so overlooked at the time, so ahead of their time. We'll talk plenty more about them as this episode of The Grenade continues on. The Rougeaus, though, moving to the States. How about that? As the action gets going here, the Bulldogs in firm control, working over Terry Gibbs. Awesome snap suplex from the Dynamite Kid. Barry Horowitz tagging in, going up to the top rope, but he too getting slammed off the top into the center ring. Finish going to see Davey Boy with that running power slam, and then Smith launching partner Dynamite Kid up in the air in a press, and then sending him off into a diving headbutt on top of Terry Gibbs, giving the Bulldogs the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 51 seconds as we roll off now to our very first update this week. and Lord Alfred Hayes. And this week, it's a double dose of big news, and we're going to talk about it on the other side.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update.
Hello everyone, this is Lord Alfred Hayes for Update. The current edition of the World Wrestling Federation magazine carries an article which illustrates how Demolition can create havoc and devastate their adversaries. Very few tag teams have the necessary qualities to face them, and for one of these teams, Strikeforce, their title aspirations are temporarily on hold. Rick Martel has sustained a concussion which places their team in limbo. However, this young native of Quebec is not the only superstar injured. The King, Harley Race, met with this disaster when he battled America's favorite star, Hulk Hogan. Following this injury, His Highness Harley Race underwent extensive surgery to his abdomen. His manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, uses his own words to describe what Hogan has done to his royal sovereign and its implications.
This is the crown that was worn by the king. This is the robe that was worn by the king. The king has abdicated his crown and robe. In search of a new king, I am right now. You see, he was injured by that miserable Hulk Hogan in a match in Nashville, Tennessee. He had internal injuries. He spent 7 hours in an operating room on an operating table. He's confined now to a hospital bed. I'm going to find a new king. There'll never be a king like this, but I'll find a new king.
Well, the first subject there was the dangerous team of Demolition. Actually, more so, their latest victim, Rick Martel of Strikeforce, who reportedly suffered an injury, a severe concussion, after taking the demolition decapitation maneuver on the arena floor. Rick Martel ruled out for an unknown period of time. More on that as this episode continues on. Now, also, 3 months later, they finally acknowledged the injury to one King Harley Race and his subsequent surgery. 7 hours under the knife, having a piece of his intestines removed, leaving Harley out of commission. We then see a sad and somber Bobby Heenan on our screen, holding Harley's cape and crown there, now on a search to find a new king for the Heenan family, a new king for the World Wrestling Federation. Don't look too far, Bobby. The answer might just be right under your nose. And as we head back to the ring, it's time for the TV debut of the Big Boss Man, accompanied to the ring by his manager, the Doctor of Style Slick. How about that, Slickster? Acquiring the services of the Big Boss Man, and his very first opponent here on TV is one Louis Spicolli. Boy, Louis hasn't had much luck in opponents thus far since his debut with the company. We do get an insert promo here from the Boss Man and Slick. Boss Man simply says, "Scum!" Slickster promising, whether it's in prison or in the ring, it's hard times for anyone stepping in front of the Big Boss Man. In the matchup, we kick things off. Boss Man walks straight up to Louis Spicolli and delivers a big boot. A walk-up big boot. What a way to get things going here for the Big Boss Man, delivering a spine buster, and it is the Boss Man Slam of death here. Man, did he drive Spicolli into the mat. And it's the 1-2. Boss Man actually overzealous, getting up from the cover after the 2, but the referee going to make the 3 anyway. Big Boss Man going over in just 1 minute and 33 seconds. And then post-match, what's this? We see the former prison guard handcuffing Spicolli to the ropes and beating him with his nightstick. I wrote awesome, nasty violence here from this new character, the Big Boss Man. You better believe we're going to see a whole lot more from the former Cobb County prison guard in the weeks, the months, the years to come in the World Wrestling Federation. As we roll on this week on Superstars, we note that even Steve Lombardi, the future Brooklyn Brawler, apparently enjoys the WWF Superstars ice cream bars. Vince McMahon on commentary questioning if Lombardi is a superstar. Well, that's not promising for young Steve Lombardi now, is it? But we roll on back to the ring for more action. The Hitman, Bret Hart, taking on Jerry Allen this week. And pre-match, we now have an image on our screen in the corner of Harley Race, the head of Harley Race, shown floating around in a sea of clouds, as if he were dead or something. Very, very strange. And also pre-match, manager Jimmy Hart coming ringside. Remember, longtime manager of the Hart Foundation going back 3 years. But Jim Neidhart coming ringside, running off the mouth of the South, who's apparently no longer wanted by the Hart Foundation, it would seem. Match gets going. Jerry Allen missing a reverse crossbody early on. The Hitman begins to pick him apart. Still working heel here, it would seem, as Bret Hart working the babyface opponent, Jerry Allen. The Hitman very aggressive and what he does in there, delivering the backbreaker and the patented pile driver. Going to give Bret Hart the win. Match goes 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So after a few months of wondering where everyone stood, it appears the Hitman and the Anvil are still on the same page together, but Jimmy Hart, not so much. And I'm not so sure this was designed to be the way they wanted this to go until they figured out how Bret Hart's singles run was going to work out. And also what the hell they were going to do with Jim Neidhart, who was kind of just floating around out there. But it appears the two men are still aligned, the Hart Foundation's still together, and the Hitman will continue to work Bad News Brown, as will the Anvil in singles matches on the house shows throughout the majority of the summer. But for all intents and purposes, the Hart Foundation beginning to reform, and you saw it right here on TV. As we continue on, Bam Bigelow with manager Oliver Humperdinck taking on Tom Stone. Now, Stone going to go to the eyes of the big man early on, but Bammer reversing an Irish whip, delivering a standing drop kick for the big 400-pounder, and then a fucking savate kick by Bam Bigelow as well. Just so impressive. Before it's the slingshot splash, the nuclear bomb, if you will, giving Bigelow the win, 1 minute and 45 seconds. As impressive as Bam looked here, it was more floaty cloud Harley Race in the corner of the screen, however, as they continue to push the new King deal coming to the World Wrestling Federation. And right now, we're off to our first special interview this week. Craig DeGeorge up on the stage, going to be talking with manager Bobby the Brain Heenan and his man, Ravishing Rick Rude.
Speaks for itself.
It certainly does.
Certainly.
Look at the thumbs down from the guys.
Yeah, what do you expect? They're all jealous. You don't see no thumbs down from the girls, do you?
Okay, gentlemen, I thank you for coming out. Of course, I'm sure you're both aware why you're our guest tonight here in the interview. And that, of course, is the reason we like to present both sides of the issue. And last week, you may remember, I was fortunate to be graced by the presence of Jake the Snake Roberts, and, of course, his lovely and slender wife. She's something else.
Boy, that was last week.
Listen, Snail Breath. Speaking
What
of
do you call him?
lovely,
Snail
speaking
breath.
of slender,
Keep quiet now, I wanna hear
behold, ravishing Rick Rude. You know, it's no secret that Jake Roberts ruined what would have been the thrill of his old lady's lifetime when he interfered with my rude awakening. But you know, I know in my mind that every night when Jake's old lady leans over to kiss him goodnight, she's got her eyes closed tight, and there are sweet thoughts of ravishing Rick Rude dancing through her head.
I can't believe he said that.
Situation.
Oh, did you notice Jake the Snake's wife, Cheryl Roberts? Did you know the lovely red dress she had on? Obvious, red is one of her better colors.
What does he mean by
I
that?
have something for you, Ravishing Rick. Are you ready for a rude awakening to give to some lady?
I think I am, Bobby.
Well, I have handpicked a lady this evening. And she will come up here right now. Now, there's one thing about this lady, and she can attest to this. Come here, Toots.
Toots?
You are definitely not like Cheryl Roberts, are you? You are not a harlot and a person of low moral standing, are you? That's correct. Dear, enjoy.
When do we have to see this? I wonder if Cheryl Roberts is looking on. I wonder what she's thinking.
We've got a winner.
She's jealous. That's what she's thinking.
No, I don't think so.
Look at this. Oh, look at, she's passing out again, McMahon. Look at, there's a girl taking a picture wishing she could be there.
This is too much. Let's get out of here.
You know, I like Rude because Rude reminds me of me.
Yeah, we'll be back as we continue with more World Wrestling Federation action. Stay with us. Oh, look at that.
Of course, the topic is Jake the Snake Roberts, and more so, wife Cheryl. Rude says every night when Cheryl kisses Jake, she's thinking of the ravishing one. And then, of course, we get another lovely young lady selected from the crowd. She gets her own rude awakening kiss from Ravishing Rick here this week. And after she falls to the stage ground, Rude celebrating with his signature gyration over top of her body. Wow, how are we getting away with this at 1988? What a way to follow Saturday morning cartoons, guys. As we continue on, now here's a more kid-friendly product. It's George the Animal Steele introducing his good friend, mine, Mine, the new stuffed animal toy monster thingy of one George the Animal Steele, carrying Mine around with him everywhere he goes now. And of course, the entire point of this, creating a new piece of merchandise to sell to the kids. Post them if you got them, guys. Anybody out there listening to this, if you have a Mine doll, share us a picture. I'd love to see it. As the action rolls on back to the ring, Greg the Hammer Valentine with Jimmy Hart taking on Ricky Attacky. Uh-oh, I smell angle alert. Stay tuned. We get an insert promo here from the Hammer, who continues to insist that his shin guard is strictly for protection after a recent injury. Vince McMahon, not so sure about the Hammer's claim, and Vince even manages to coyly mention that Don Morocco has a bout scheduled up next. Now, keep that in your back pocket, guys. As the match gets going, nasty chops from the Hammer here and the lazy man suplex. Hammer then working the leg of Attacky, shoulder breaker, followed by a couple of Hammer elbow drops. Then it's time. Valentine adjusting that shin guard, applying the figure four for the immediate submission. Greg Valentine going over 1 minute and 56 seconds. And then post-match, Valentine decides to reapply his figure four to Attacky. When out comes our next scheduled superstar. It's Don Morocco to make the save. Superstar Graham noticeably limping far behind, using that cane to get to ringside, but Morocco way ahead of the superstar here. Morocco trying to save Attacky, drops a big elbow, a hell of an elbow drop on Valentine to break the hold. Very believable there, Rock. With the Hammer now neutralized, Morocco stomping away on him on the mat, running Valentine off to the floor. It's manager Jimmy Hart who spits on Don Morocco. He gets. And The Rock then lays chase to that little pipsqueak, chasing Jimmy Hart all the way backstage. So Jimmy chased backstage twice this week on Superstars, first by the Anvil and now by The Rock. But as Don Morocco's gone from ringside, it's Superstar Graham checking on the fallen Ricky Attacky. When out of nowhere, Greg Valentine re-entering the ring, attacking Superstar Graham from behind. And then from there, Valentine laying in a series of his big Hammer elbow drops, smashing down into the chest of Superstar Graham, and then blasting referee Jack Kruger with a big forearm as well, before the Hammer going to apply his figure four leg lock on the former world champion, Superstar Graham. And then officials rushing out to try to break the hold, but they fail. They can't get Valentine to release. And then finally, Morocco returning and Valentine fleeing the scene. So a concerned Rock now shouting for help for his manager as Graham is eventually taken away on a stretcher, writhing in pain. Now, if you watch this entire segment, watch the end, guys. Ridiculously, the people that are chosen to carry the stretcher literally fall in the aisle with Superstar Graham on top of them. Now, unintentionally comical, yes, but dropping an injured, crippled Superstar Graham didn't look too good for TV. Even Vince and even Jesse Ventura trashing the poor men that were selected to carry Graham out of the arena, and they don't even bother to edit it out. Right there on Superstars. Go check it out, guys. So the final feud, it would seem, is in place for the summer here on the house show circuit. Greg Valentine, he got his shin guard over as much as he could. They use it here to basically write Billy Graham off as a failed manager experiment. Next stop, commentary for the Superstar. Yikes. But Don Morocco, no doubt, coming for revenge against Greg the Hammer Valentine, so keep an eye on that. And as promised at the top of the show, we had more than one debut this week, so back to the ring, tag team action. Going to see the TV debut of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, as they take on Big Iron Mike Sharp and the Intruder, a.k.a. Jesse Cortez, Jesse Hernandez, longtime worker on the West Coast, trainer as well. Jesse Hernandez here under the Intruder mask, teaming with Iron Mike. And right out of the gate, in their TV debut, we learn immediately that the Rockers are indeed tag team specialists, pal. Complete with their familiar rocker theme music right out of the gate. We also get an insert promo from the Rockers, who are already announcing their intentions of coming after Demolition and those tag team titles. Jesse can't believe two pretty boy young punks like the Rockers would dare challenge Axe and Smash. So let's see how these pretty boys fare in the ring against the likes of Mike Sharp and the Intruder, shall we, Jesse? As Shawn Michaels and Mike Sharp going to start off here, crisscross spot, leading to Michaels trying a crossbody, but he's caught in midair by Iron Mike. Meanwhile, Jannetty sneaking in from behind, drop-kicking Shawn in the back, sending him down on top of Mike Sharp. Great teamwork there from the Rockers. And then Marty tagging in with a Mexican arm drag on Cortez. Quick moves, quick tags, great teamwork by the Rockers here. Shawn Michaels going to end things with a top rope fist drop, and then hip-tossing partner Jannetty on top of the Intruder, giving the Rockers the win. Match goes 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And if you go back and watch this match, there may have been an edit before the finish because the camera angle's a little wonky. So they may have had to try that finish more than once, but I'm not positive on that. But with Strikeforce now officially done with the company, the Rockers couldn't have come at a better time. That's for sure. And what a way to close this edition of Superstars, guys, as we roll off now to the following day and the June 19th edition of WWF Wrestling Challenge. Here we are, Wrestling Challenge, June the 19th, tape back May 31st, Fresno, California at the Convention Center. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary here. We head off to the ring for action involving the Ultimate Warrior, taking on Barry Horowitz. And much like on Superstars, we get mention here from Bobby Heenan about the injured Harley Race, his abdominal surgery, and his apparent abdication of the throne. Heenan now says the cape and crown are vacant, pending a new king. Meanwhile, in the ring, Warrior going to dominate as usual. Horowitz knocked outside, and Warrior going to help him back in by picking him up over his shoulder, climbing back up the steps, and tossing Barry Horowitz back in the ring. From there, Horowitz going to go to the eyes of the Ultimate One, sneaking in a drop kick that sends Warrior back into the corner, but Warrior coming bouncing right back out with a big clothesline for Barry's troubles. And then from there, it's the Gorilla Press Slam and the Big Splash going to get the win for the Warrior. Match goes 2 minutes and 20 seconds. As we roll off to this week's special report, also with Alfred Hayes, another double report here covering Rick Martel's severe concussion at the hands of Demolition, as well as a reminder we go back in time a couple of months and we see footage of Outlaw Ron Bass choking out the Junkyard Dog with the bullwhip. Miss Betsy, nice little refresher in case anybody's attending the house shows. Give a little more meaning to the Bass Dog matches there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And then it's back to the ring for more action. Going to see Ravishing Rick Rude with manager Bobby Heenan taking on Leaping Lanny Poffo this week. We get an insert promo during this match from Cheryl Roberts. She says Rick isn't ravishing, he's just plain rude. Meanwhile, Lanny Poffo going to recite a poem regarding Cheryl. He says Rude is messing with the wrong woman, Rude is messing with the wrong man. Of course, this incites Rick Rude, who attacks and beats Poffo down. Will you ever learn, Lanny? Funny visual, though, as they flash the Harley Race cloud deal over top of Rude's flexing ass. So Rude doing some butt tricks there, if you will. And of course, Harley Race's head blocking it. Coincidence? Who am I to say? Meanwhile, Rick Rude begins no-selling punches to his chiseled abs. So Lanny, he has a genius idea, if you will. Poffo gonna blast Rude in the face, which works. Briefly, Rick Rude quickly back in control. Top rope fist drop and the Rude Awakening neckbreaker. Gonna score the win for Ravishing Rick. Match goes 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And then after the match, we see a different type of Rude Awakening for a lovely young lady ringside. Rick Rude laying another kiss on a female fan as we roll off now to our very first event center this week. Of course, the new host, it's Shouting Sean Mooney. Sean Mooney standing by with the likes of Bam Bigelow and the British Bulldogs.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center. I'll be standing by throughout the hour to tell you just what's happening in the World Wrestling Federation. Some of that news involves the situation that exists between two of the biggest men in the WWF. This situation has been brewing since WrestleMania 4. I'm talking about the one-man gang and Bam Bigelow.
He comes from one of the baddest neighborhoods down there in Chicago, down around Halsted Street. He's known all over there as a real tough guy, and I can only be talking about one man. And that's the one-man gang, standing 6'7" tall and weighing 480 pounds, close to 500 pounds. Well, you're on a dead-end collision course with this man right here, one-man gang. And when you two meet, I'm gonna be there to feel the explosion.
You know, the backstreet brawler from Chicago, you one-man gang. Well, this is Bam Bam, and I'm from Asbury Park. And you play with fire, and you get burned.
That's right, Chicago, you know tough guys, but brother, I've seen them all, and this is him wrapped up into one.
Bam Bam Bigelow, the man from Asbury Park, talking about that confrontation against the one-man gang. You will see it very soon. But we've got more. Tag team competition. Two of the top contenders, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid.
You know, the British Bulldogs have been in the World Wrestling Federation now for the past 3.5 years. And for the past 2 years, Matilda has given the British Bulldogs a lot of victories and a lot of inspiration in that ring. And she's took care of a lot of managers. And like we tell Matilda, when we step in that ring, we say, Matilda, we're going to take care of our opponents, whether it be the Islanders, the Bolsheviks, the Demolition, no matter who it is, we always become victorious. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right. Like Dave Boy said, we've wrestled Bolsheviks, Islanders. Now, as a matter of fact, we're looking for Demolition. And Matilda told us just a few days ago that you keep working with Bulldogs because you're working hard every day in the gym, and one of these days you're going to get Demolition and take those belts.
They are the British Bulldogs, and it's good to see Matilda looking so healthy. They are two of the top contenders for the World Wrestling Federation tag team belts. Axe and Smash, their current holders. They've got a lot to worry about. So many great teams out there. The fabulous Rougeau Brothers, the Islanders, the Killer Bees, and now the Rockers. That's just part of the action. We've got more coming at you.
Bulldog and Humperdinck talking about the recent feud with the one-man gang. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs cut I guess you could call it a generic promo now with the Islanders gone. Bulldogs looking to take on all comers. Unfortunately, that would include the Bolsheviks. Yuck. We go back to the ring. We saw them on Superstars. Now we get the Wrestling Challenge debut of the Rockers, once again taking on Steve Lombardi and Tom Stone. But this Wrestling Challenge taping was actually taped the day before Superstars. So rather than the familiar WWF Rockers theme, the Rockers here, Sean and Marty, out to Living After Midnight by Judas Priest, one of the very rare times they come out to this actual song by Judas Priest, at least in the World Wrestling Federation. Now, during the action here, we get an insert promo from the Rockers who talk about rockin' and rollin', struttin' and strollin'. Woo! The Rockers are here in the World Wrestling Federation. And once again, it's fast tags, fast action from Sean and Marty. Jannetty using the ropes as leverage at one point to backflip out of an arm wringer spot. You don't see that every day up in New York. Hey, pal. Now, also during this matchup, we get more of that Harley Race head floaty stuff repeatedly, actually, in this matchup. Poor Rockers. But the match is fast-flowing and fun. Lots of use of double teaming here from Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. Steve Lombardi manages to climb to the top rope but gets slammed off by Michaels. And then from there, it's the Rockerplex, if you will. It's Shawn Michaels picking Lombardi up in a suplex. Jannetty, meanwhile, coming off the top rope with a cross-body block. Nice combo move. The Rockers scoring another win this weekend. Match goes 3 minutes and 11 seconds. So right out of the gate, you can see these guys, the Rockers, are something special. The timing, the crisp work, easily replaces the Strikeforce spot on the card. I dare say they're already more over, at least with the female fans, and the crowd already loves them in general. So if Demolition weren't already firm in control as the tag team champions moving forward, the Rockers could have easily won the belts here in '88, but the timing just wasn't in the cards. As we go off now, guys, back to the event center, Shouting Sean Mooney standing by with the mighty Hercules and Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
We are back at the WWF Event Center. So much happening in the World Wrestling Federation. What about this situation between the Ultimate Warrior and the mighty Hercules? A clash of titans. One is drawn to the past, the other to the future. And when they meet in the ring, it is going to be some match. You will get the opportunity to see that in the very near future. We have the mighty Hercules standing by with comments.
Warrior, you have felt my power. You have felt my wrath before, and you know how strong it is. You know how intense it is, but still you try to intimidate me. Still you come and try to scare me. But Warrior, this will never happen. This will never happen, for I will not let it. I have sat at the right hand of Zeus, and he has ordered me. The court has been held. Warrior, your prison, your misery shall be mine, to step in the ring, to do whatever I want to you. Warrior, no man, nobody will ever defeat me, not even you.
The mighty Hercules set for battle with the Ultimate Warrior. The honky-tonk man has a man in hot pursuit of him for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm talking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and he is itching to do some cutting and strutting.
Everybody saw what happened, man. Everybody knows what kind of a man you are, Honky Tonk. The champion of champions you call yourself? Well, you got more nerve than anybody I ever saw. You got a lot of guts to say that, to try to fool the people, but they're not buying it. They're not being fooled one bit. And you know why? Because I could stand up. A big smash over the head didn't keep me down, Honky Tonk. You can't beat me. You can't hold me down. You can't stop me. I'm gonna get your title. I'm gonna get your hair. I'm gonna get you one way or the other. Sooner or later, you are mine. Yeah.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the top contender for the Intercontinental Championship belt. The honky-tonk man has his work cut out for him to hold on to it. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way.
So it would seem the mighty one Hercules still pissed at the Ultimate Warrior. Meanwhile, the Barber still wants the honky-tonk man's Intercontinental title and his hair. Then from there, it's back to the ring for the Olympic strongman Ken Patera to take on Iron Mike Sharpe. We get an insert promo here from Dino Bravo, who says Patera is soft and weak and the USA stinks. No, Dino, it's your promos that are soft and weak, and your wrestling stinks. Meanwhile, in the ring, Iron Mike Sharpe grabbing a headlock, and Patera going to show his strength off, picking the big man up, picking Sharpe up in the air, and sitting him down across the top rope. Very impressive, Kenny, here this week. We also see a test of strength, which is at least believable given the guy of Iron Mike's size involved, but obviously Ken Patera going to win that battle and maintain control. Then from there, it's a crap clothesline, followed by a crappier atomic drop from Patera. And then the babyface Patera gonna randomly post Iron Mike Sharpe's shoulder into the corner. And that's all to soften Sharpe up as Patera locks in the full Nelson. Gonna get the submission win here. 2 minutes and 53 seconds. The Patera Bravo war rages on. As we move on, Bobby Heenan has left commentary as he is here to present to us. It's the debut of the Brother Love Show.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Well, you people are in for a rare treat because I'm about to introduce to you a gentleman, and I mean gentleman. This man has helped me out, and if this man can help me, I know he can help every one of you out there. May I proudly present my personal, close, good friend, Brother Love. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to publicly thank
my very good, dear, close personal friend, Brother Brain, for granting Brother Love the opportunity to bring to you a message. The message that I bring to you today is a message of love. Yes, love. L-O-V-E, love. And there is only one thing that matters to me today. And that one thing is that I want you to remember the one thing that I want for you to know is that I love you. Did you hear me? I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Well, there's no going back now. Their Brother Love show is here. We saw Bobby Heenan there. He left commentary up on the stage, that purple-colored backdrop of curtains, and that white podium with a mic stand. The Brain then introducing the world, introducing us all to his good friend, Brother Love. And out comes the jolly plump man with a disturbingly unhealthy shade of red upon his face, the white suit and tie over a pinkish shirt here. Brother Love brings with him a big book in order to bring us the message of love, everyone, from the book of love. Brother Love wants you all to know that he loves you, yes, brothers and sisters, yes. Okay, I got to get out of that. So the Brother Love show makes its official debut. It's new, it's different, certainly controversial, especially to those super strict churchgoers out there at the time. But clearly the crowd at the time here did not know what to make of it. Rather quiet for the debut of Brother Love, but in time, I absolutely loved this segment every week. Every pun intended in that. Brother Love now here in the World Wrestling Federation as we go back to the ring for the one-man gang with manager Slick taking on Louis Spicolli. Spicolli, or as Mike McGurk calls him here, Spicolo, continues his stretch of bad luck as he works both members of the future Twin Towers this weekend. On Superstars, it was the Boss Man. Here on Challenge, it's the one-man gang as Jive Soul Bro plays as the heels enter the ring. Gorilla Monsoon says he wants to see the gang dance. Just give it a few months, Gorilla. Meanwhile, we get an insert promo from the Doctor of Style who talks about the gang's opponents running like a pair of cheap pantyhose. As it's another gang violence mauling here from OMG. Got to score the win here with the Gourd Buster. Match only goes 1 minute and 48 seconds for the big man. As action continues on here on Challenge, George the Animal Steele, complete with mine in his corner, taking on Randy Neverman. So I guess you could call this the official debut of mine in the arena at the very least, as the Animal going to toss Neverman outside, then clobbering him once he finally gets back in the ring. And then it's the flying hammerlock. But Neverman, a very big dude, so Steele drops him immediately out of the hammerlock, and referee Jack Kruger has to call for the bell anyway. Not even up there enough time to submit to the move, but Jack Kruger, he's seen enough. We'll call it a submission. George Steele going over here just 1 minute and 28 seconds. Now, believe it or not, even in small doses here by 1988, the Animal character never got old with the WWF crowd, and the kids absolutely dug him. Hence the Mind Doll. as they try and work George back on TV in order to sell these new stuffed dolls as merchandise. Just imagine if they had thought about this a year or two ago, how much more money they could have made with the help of the George Steele character. But mine! Just another debut this weekend. As the show progresses, we get a clip. We go way back in time to the March edition of Saturday night's main event. We see Harley Race take that bump through the table as he tried to dive off on the former WWF champion Hulk Hogan. Of course, Hogan out of the way. Harley goes through the table, and he sustains the injury that takes him out until the fall. So we continue to tell the story of Harley Race, the former king of the World Wrestling Federation, as we go back to the ring for tag team action. It's going to be the fabulous Rougeau Brothers, Jacques and Raymond, taking on Special Delivery Jones and Brady Boone. And straight away, we get an insert promo from the fabulous Rougeaus, and they believe if the fans would just stop confusing them with that pesky Dino Bravo, they will be loved by all. Well, I have to agree with that, Jacques. As a Special Delivery Jones going to get in some offense early on here on Jacques Rougeau, Jacques going to offer a handshake in return, but when Jones accepts, Jacques pats him on the head. That's a good boy. Doesn't sit too well with old SD here, as Raymond and Brady Boone going to tag in next, wrestling to a stalemate. Some fun stuff leading to a handshake from the two men as they continue on. Ray and Brady here. Good stuff between the two. Sees Boone on top. Brady going to even counter a hammerlock with a nice leverage move, grabbing Ray by the head and backflipping over top of Ray's body, landing on his feet. But Raymond straight back to the hammerlock. Boone going to try the counter again, but this time Ray, he simply lets go mid-move, causing Boone to fall flat on his back. Great spot for a douchey heel there. Gotta love the Rougeaus as SD Jones back in the matchup, blocking a monkey flip in the corner. Jacques Rougeau climbing down. Okay, you got me. Tags in brother Ray, but moments later, Special Delivery Jones going to miss a blind tag back to Jacques. And Jacques going to sneak in from behind, blasting SD in the back of the head with the forearm, dropping him to the mat. Raymond sneaking in a savate kick before Jacques landing a splash. Going to score the win here for the fabulous Rougeaus. Match goes 4 minutes and 4 seconds. And it seems like the fans and even the announcers are finally starting to catch on. Great heel shit here from the Rougeau brothers. Absolutely underrated, and really before its time, the thought, the intricacies they put in to these characters they've created in pretty quick fashion. As we close out Wrestling Challenge this week, we go off to one final event center. It is Shouting Sean Mooney standing by with the likes of Andre the Giant and manager Bobby Heenan. We're also going to hear from the World Wrestling Federation champion himself, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Once again, we are back at the WWF Event Center. So much is happening in the World Wrestling Federation right now. What about this man? He is 7'4". He weighs over 500 pounds. You know who I'm talking about. They call him the 8th wonder of the world. He is Andre the Giant. He's standing by with his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
You know, Andre the Giant doesn't care if you like him or dislike him. There is no athlete in any sport today, whether it be hockey, basketball, football, jockeys, race car drivers, professional wrestling, that stands 7'5" and weighs over 500 pounds. Think of that, over 500 pounds. There's no man that has done more for the sport of professional wrestling than Andre the Giant. Undefeated in his whole career. He said he'd beat Hulk Hogan, and he did. Number one. He said he'd get rid of Hulk Hogan, and he did. He said he'd get any wrestler he wanted to in that ring and beat him, and he has. So if you like him, fine. If you don't, fine. But you better respect him.
If you think that man looks awesome on television, you should see him in person. He is truly a giant. And speaking of giants, we have a giant of a champion. He's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. He's standing by right now with his manager, the lovely Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'm telling everybody out there, all the superstars in the World Wrestling Federation, Elizabeth, there's a lot of great athletes out there. And I realize that we're on top of the mountain now, but we gotta be hungrier than the challengers, yeah. And you, $1 Million Man, I know you want the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt, but for all the wrong reasons, yeah, materialistic you are, but you ain't got the money, yeah, to buy this. And you ain't got the money to buy this, and that's a lot of heart. Oh yeah, I got a lot of heart, and I can beat you real real bad, and your bodyguard is real ugly, and you'll never touch Elizabeth again as a hostage, yeah! I got the belt, and I'm gonna keep it, yeah!
He is the man at the center of it all, Macho Madness, the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Of course, he is always inspired by his manager, the lovely Elizabeth. So many able opponents out there. The man at the top of that list, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. It seems he will stop at nothing to get the title. That's just part of the action. We've got so much more. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Randy Savage. Putting away all challengers right now, but none bigger than the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Meanwhile, Andre the Giant has had his issues with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but Andre, you have to think, sooner rather than later, going to be looking for maybe himself a title shot against the Macho Man. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out in the weeks to come. But right now, guys, we roll off to the June 20th edition of WWF Primetime Wrestling.
I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
I'm your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
What are you upset about?
There's your fire alarm.
The silent smoke alarm. You didn't
silent smoke alarm. That means if the thing goes off, I gave it to my builder, Mr. Don Bennett. He looked at me, he says, take this back to whatever fool gave it to you. He's trying to make a fool out of you.
I thought it was a very appropriate gift.
Sure, the house catches on fire and the alarm doesn't go off. I choke. I can't talk out here. You become host. I see what you're up to.
Why don't you, if you want to be the host, you tell us who we're going to see this year, besides your friend, Brother Love. Who's on the program?
Hart Foundation, Killer Bees, The Rockers, Hercules. I can go on and on and on. Can't stump me this week.
One-man gang. Who's his opposition?
The one-man gang?
Yeah.
Simple. Very simple.
Who is it?
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Who's the latest acquisition of the Slickster that's joining us this week?
The Big Boss Man.
You got it.
What, now do I get to go for the curtain or the door?
Well, you get to go for box number 2, I think.
One of these boxes from you. You can take that, and you can put that where your smoke won't send off your alarm.
Oh, he's upset.
Make a fool out of me.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you're upset. Maybe you'll calm down a little bit now and get with the program here.
Tony never called yet?
No, he didn't. He certainly did not.
It's a shame.
We've got excitement here this week on Primetime Wrestling. Let's not keep the action from you any longer. Let's go to ringside as Brutus the Barber Beefcake takes on the one-man gang.
Here we are, June 20th, Primetime Wrestling, hosted by Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Is Bobby going to return the silent smoke alarm? Remember the gift that was handed to him by Gorilla Monsoon on the last episode of Primetime? Bobby finally realizing, getting the point of the silent smoke alarm. He can't hear it. Gorilla Monsoon basically trying to aid Brain in burning to death, or at the very least, smoke inhalation. So Bobby Heenan going to return the gift as Gorilla Monsoon having a laugh at the Brain's expense here. Bobby also on a roll with the lineup here this week, as you guys heard. And speaking of the lineup, some exclusives here this week, including taped June 1st at the Oakland Coliseum. Big Boss Man defeating Frankie Valdez with the Boss Man Slam. Match goes about 2.5 minutes, and the Big Boss Man going to handcuff Frankie, beat him down post-match with the nightstick. And a couple of matches also on Primetime this week, taped back May 31st in Fresno at the Convention Center, including Hercules over Jose Luis Rivera with the Torture Rack. That match goes about 3.5 minutes. And then feature match time. This is a fun one. The Killer Bees, Jump and Jim Brunzell, B. Brian Blair scoring a win over the Hart Foundation. We haven't seen those two in the ring at the same time, Bret and the Anvil, since the WrestleMania 4 Battle Royal. They realign here, and the Bees go over by disqualification. Match goes 10 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, midway through the matchup, Jimmy Hart comes ringside, attempting to be in the Hart Foundation's corner, but Bret ordering him to return backstage. So Hart Foundation still wanting no part of manager Jimmy Hart, but it's at the end of the matchup, Brian Blair appearing to have the Hitman covered when out of nowhere, Jimmy Hart returning ringside, blasting Blair with the megaphone, causing a disqualification on his Hart Foundation, or maybe his former team, the Hart Foundation, but the Killer Bees going to get the DQ win. It's in the record book, guys. And then post-match, Hart Foundation very upset with the interfering manager Jimmy Hart chasing him backstage for costing them the matchup. Now, the announcers point out that they may not want Jimmy ringside, but technically, at this moment, he still legally manages them. And that'll be important moving forward, but right now, it has become evident the Hart Foundation want nothing more to do with their former manager, Jimmy Hart.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron. I'm talking about that $5 all access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts for just $5, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. We also offer remastered versions of the earliest episodes of The Grenade Show, covering the 1989 NWA project. Includes enhanced sound quality, plus new content and conversation never heard before. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series, covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. And for those who like all of their podcasts in one nice, neat little pile, the WrestleCopia Patreon also offers a Patreon exclusive Spotify account. You can actually go over to your Spotify with your WrestleCopia Patreon credentials. Instead of listening or downloading directly from Patreon, you can go over to Spotify, listen to all the latest shows, including all of the early releases. And you get all of that and so much more for just $5. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Fun little segment there for Primetime Wrestling as we continue on to the following week. WWF Superstars for June 25th, also taped back June 1st at the Oakland Coliseum. Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura on commentary here as we move off to the ring for Jake the Snake Roberts taking on the Conquistador. This one portrayed by Jose Luis Rivera. We get an insert promo early on in the Jake matchup from wife Cheryl, showing off the new WWF magazine as she says the snake will bite, ravishing Rick Rude. Vince calling Cheryl a foxy lady, pal. And Ventura, in so many words, refers to Cheryl as a hooker on 42nd Street in New York City. Which 42nd Street? There's only one. So Ventura not really mincing any words here. His thoughts on Cheryl Roberts. Meanwhile, in the ring, Jake in great form this week, moving fast, staying on top of the action. Snake, though, going to telegraph a backdrop, and the Masked Man will take over, but Jake fighting his way back, firing back with the trademark jabs, followed by the short arm clothesline and the DDT. Going to give Jake Roberts the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Post-match, little Damien out to play as well on the Conquistador. As, I should point out at this point for the weekend, too, lots of random discussion during the matches of Rick Martel, who has suffered that severe concussion against Demolition. Now, Jesse Ventura actually discussing concussions here a little bit. He says they can be a little tricky. You might expect to return in a couple weeks, and the symptoms, they come back. So there's no true estimated timetable on the return of Rick Martel to the WWF at this point. And for those racking their brains, when did Rick return? We will not see him again in 1988. Rick Martel will return in January 89 as part of the Royal Rumble. As we go off now to Update with Lord Alfred Hayes.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update.
Hello everyone, this is Lord Alfred Hayes with Update. On this program last week, we were witness to a vicious attack by Greg Valentine on superstar Billy Graham when The Rock, Don Morocco, went to the assistance of young Ricky Ataki, who lay injured in the ring. The clip you're about to see shows the dire circumstances that placed Billy Graham in a potentially dangerous situation.
Oh, no! Why don't they get somebody with competence to carry him out? Who is this four-eyed glasses guy they got trying to pick up 290-pound Billy Graham?
Following this appalling attack on the former world champion, Update is pleased to report that Billy Graham did not sustain any lasting injuries. However, he is under doctor's orders not to return to ringside. His many well-wishers will be happy to hear that he will continue his career as a broadcaster. For the World Wrestling Federation, this is Update.
And this week's Update focuses on Greg Valentine injuring superstar Billy Graham last week. We go back, we see some clips. Superstar, we learn, will no longer be an active manager, but is rather being moved to color commentary. Well, you guys can't say Vince McMahon didn't try everything to keep Graham employed. This guy went from wrestler to manager to commentator over the past 8 months. But the wrestling action continues here on TV. Back to the ring for the one-man gang with Slick in his corner, taking on Martin Oliver. As the gang attacks in the action, we get an insert promo from Slick, who puts over that gang violence. Slickster says, if you ever dreamed of beating up the one-man gang, you better wake up and apologize. Brother. As back to the action, the gang here are going to deliver a massive elbow drop, followed by the gourd buster, giving the gang the win. Match goes 1 minute and 37 seconds. Post-match, we see more dancing from the Slickster before the Doctor of Style jumping up into the arms of the gang, continuing to dance while being held high in the air. What a sight to see. How fun was this pair, the gang and Slick? They were meant for each other. As we continue on, more action. The Ultimate Warrior in the ring, taking on Larry Simpson. Simpson charging at UW and runs right into a spine buster from the Warrior. Not sure he meant to do that, but it happened, guys. And then Warrior going to do the bit again where he tosses the job guy out to the floor, only to carry him back up to the apron, tossing him back in the ring. And then it's the clothesline, the gorilla press drop, and the big splash. Going to give the Warrior the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Very noticeable here, guys. The fans are screaming throughout the entire finishing sequence for the Warrior. Super over in record time is this character. Somebody give this guy a belt. As we cut away to ringside, looking at some of the fans in between the matches, we see some kids sitting there eating ice cream bars. And of those kids, they show a young black boy. To which Ventura says, "That's Koko B. Ware there." Yeah. Even when my son was watching this, he goes, "Wow." Oh, Jesse. As we go back to the ring for the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase with Virgil in his corner taking on Leaping Lanny Poffo. And in short form, Poffo's poem this week basically says that Elizabeth is worth more than all of Dibiase's assets combined. As the $1 Million Man upset with the comments, charging at Lanny Poffo, but running right into a Leaping Lanny hip toss, is Poffo then going to get the best of Ted early on? Par for the course in a Dibiase squash, letting his opponent get some offense early on. But finally, Lanny going to run into a $1 million clothesline as Dibiase taking the fight outside. He's going to beel Lanny Poffo up the aisleway onto the concrete. Ugh. Then back inside, trifecta of signature falling fist drops from Dibiase, and then it's the $1 Million Dream going to score the win, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Dibiase continuing to dominate the competition as he guns for the WWF title, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. As the program rolls on this week, even though we saw the debut of the Big Boss Man last week right here on Superstars, this week we get a Boss Man vignette from a prison somewhere. Ask Nails for directions. Boss Man, slamming the cell door shut, says, "This is my house. This is his house. And when you're here, you follow his rules." Boy, I gotta wonder, how is Ken Patera not the first feud for an evil prison guard? On second thought, probably for the best. As we go back to the ring singles action, going to see the Birdman Koko B. Ware with Frankie taking on Steve Lombardi. And Lombardi starts off with a big slam, but he gets cocky, turns his back, posing to the crowd, and he eats a drop kick from Koko from behind, sending Steve through the ropes and out to the floor. And then once back in the ring, the Birdman with an awesome drop kick out of a test of strength spot. Even Jesse Ventura has to give Koko credit for that one. Finish going to see a missile dropkick from the Birdman off the middle rope, and then Ware with the Ghostbuster scoring the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 45 seconds. As we roll off now to another special interview. Craig DeGeorge up on the stage, going to talk with the entire Heenan family.
And the manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, ladies and gentlemen, joining me, the entire Heenan family right here to talk about some of the...
No, it is not the entire Bobby the Brain Heenan family. There is one very significant member of the family missing, and I'm referring to the King Harley Race. Whether you people are aware of this or not, the King has sustained a very serious injury at the hands of Hulk Hogan.
Keep coming down!
When I talk about serious injury, I'm talking about an internal operation where he was operated on for 4 hours. As he lay there, right now, convalescing in his bed, not one card, not one letter, not one bit of remorse has ever been shown by Hulk Hogan.
Why should there be?
Well,
Hulk Hogan's supposed to be all-American, ain't he?
And I'm going to make it very clear. The King has advocated his crown and his robe. Well, I'm not going to let it end there. There is going to be a search, and I am going to conduct a search for the new king of the World Wrestling Federation. And letters and cards and requests are beginning to arrive from all over. And when I'm done, there will be a new king of the World Wrestling Federation. Right now, I would like every one of you to join me by bowing your heads in a moment of silence.
This is ridiculous.
Shut up, McMahon.
I can't believe this.
I told you keep quiet. Don't you listen to him. It's a moment of silence.
would be so insensitive and would show the lack of respect and courtesy for a man that wore this crown, a man that wore this cape, and a man that represented everything in professional wrestling today. There will be a new king, I guarantee it.
So there it is, Bobby Heenan cutting a promo there with his entire family by his side. Unfortunately, at this stage, we're just down to Andre the Giant, Hercules, and Ravishing Rick Rude. So the Heenan family, much smaller, but look at the names there. As we see the Brain holding the now kingless robe and crown that once belonged to Harley Race, Bobby talking the injury that Race sustained at the hands of Hulk Hogan, to which the fans cheer. How dare they? Heenan wants to let everyone know, though, that he is in search of a brand new king to replace Harley on the throne. The Brain asking everyone there for a moment of silence to bow their heads as they pay homage and tribute to the fallen Harley Race. We even get a 10-bell salute, which is usually relegated for someone when they pass away. The Brain, though, disgusted at the crowd's response during the entire segment. And a reminder, guys, Harley Race is indeed alive, but they play it up as if he's gone forever. Great sell job by Bobby Heenan, but just a really weird feeling overall. Then it's back to the ring. More tag team action here this week. Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. 3 matches and 3 TVs. Talk about trying to get these guys over in a hurry. They're going to take on this week Barry Horowitz and Mark Ming. This week's Rockers promo, insert promo in the corner. They say, you guys ain't seen nothing yet. Woo! Rockers getting ready to rock the World Wrestling Federation. Meanwhile, we get more floating Harley head during this matchup as Vince McMahon finally says, it's not as if Harley Race has passed away. So Vince, the voice of reason, ladies and gentlemen. As we go to the action, you gotta love to see Barry Horowitz in there with the Rockers because you know this is gonna be good. As a fun double team work here on Barry throughout most of the matchup. Quick tags by the Rockers. Match gonna see a double slingshot suplex on Mark Ming, and then Michael's gonna suplex Marty, gourdbuster him on top of Ming. Rockers gonna score the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 19 seconds. As the show progresses, we get what I think is a replay from last week, or a very similar segment. George Steele once again introducing his Mind Doll. And as I was watching this, I thought, you know what could have been super creepy? As if the animal had cut out a picture of Elizabeth's face and glued it right there onto mine. And then maybe if he just cut a hole? Never mind. Whew, we'll continue on. Bad News Brown in the ring taking on Tony Leone as we get an insert promo here from the Hart Foundation during the Bad News matchup. It's Bret and Anvil together, and they've both now got their eyes on the Harlem Street Fighter. Bad news, you double-crossed me, and I was going to triple-cross you, but now I got the Anvil back by my side, and it's my double-cross and his double-cross together, so we're going to quadruple-cross you, because I'm technical. But doesn't this 2-on-1 feud make the heel outnumbered? I guess Bad News was just that bad. As Brown going to attack here, nasty beatdown on Leone and a vicious clothesline, followed by the Ghetto Blaster, giving Bad News the win as he shouts garbage and puts his foot on the chest of Leone to score the pinfall. Match goes 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Nasty character is that Bad News Brown. As we come to the conclusion of Superstars, we learn that next week the feature matchup going to see the Killer Bees take on the fabulous Rougeau Brothers, and right now we're going to hear from both sides.
Hi, this is Jacques and I'm Raymond, and we're the fabulous Rougeau Brothers. Jacques, have you noticed sometimes the Killer Bees pull out their masks to cheat a little bit?
Well, I think everybody noticed that, Raymond, but that's okay, because next week on Great Memorial Day weekend, we're going to pull a little one too there, Killer Bees.
Hi, I'm Jacques. And I'm Raymond. And we're the fabulous Rougeau Brothers. Not really. We're the Killer Bees. I'm Jim.
And I'm Brian. And next week, we're going to find out just how fabulous those Rougeau Brothers really are.
So join us next week for the special holiday edition of the Superstars of Wrestling.
So the fabulous Rougeaus, they do bring up a good point there that the Killer Bees, well, they sometimes cheat to win with those masks. True. Also, Rougeau's confusing Memorial Day, which took place in May, with Independence Day, which is next week here in the States. Purely an accident, I'm sure. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Bees, with a little edge this week, having a little fun. Hi, I'm Jacques, and I'm Raymond. No, we're really Jim and Brian. But the Bees wearing the masks, mocking the Rougeaus. As the Bees say that next week we'll find out how tough the Rougeau Brothers really are. And I gotta say, for a very brief promo from both sides, go watch this video. I posted it on social media, but I'm sure you can find this episode of TV on YouTube as well. That may be the best thing that either team has done promo-wise since we started this project with January of 1987. Fun stuff there from both guys. Great video, go check it out. As we move on to Wrestling Challenge, June 26th. June 26th, tape back May 31st, Fresno, California, the Convention Center. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon on the call one more time as we go off to the tag team champions, Demolition in the ring, along with manager Mr. Fuji, taking on Jerry Allen and Leaping Lanny Poffo. And in his poem this week, Leaping Laniel merely suggests that Demolition are nothing without manager Mr. Fuji telling them what to do. And thus, the demos commence to beating Poffo down as we see double axe handles that smash Lanny into the mat. See what I did there? And then from there, Axe shouting, "Give me the boot!" as they beat down Lanny Poffo. Jerry Allen finally going to tag in. Doesn't fare too much better. And even the demos aren't safe from the floating head of Harley Race. We see the former king one more time as we learn the search is on, says Bobby Heenan. Back to the action, though. Jerry Allen worked over pretty good by the demos. They dump him to the floor, where Lanny Poffo tosses Allen back in the ring. Even Gorilla Monsoon laughing at the quote-unquote bad move made by Lanny Poffo there, as it is the Demolition decapitation, giving the champs the win. Match goes 3 minutes and 12 seconds. The demos will get you. As we continue off to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes, talking about the recent split between the Hart Foundation and their former manager, Jimmy Hart.
Hello, everyone. This is Lord Alfred Hayes with Special Report. For some time now, there have been rumors of dissension in the Hart Foundation's camp. Here at last is concrete proof of the direction this family conflict has taken.
Bret Hart coming by the Hart Foundation.
Some people, Jesse Ventura included, say that Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart are extremely ungrateful after all their manager Jimmy Hart has achieved for them. Others say they are better off without that raucous little individual who mismanages their affairs. How does all this sit with the mouth of the South?
Hey, look, Hitman, Anvil, look, you don't have to go to an attorney. Hey, look, man, I've got a contract on. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. But look, we can work it out, we can talk it over. Hey, look, why don't you guys call me Collect? That's right, you can call me Collect. Please, don't go to an attorney. We can work it out.
Well, the seeming split between the Hart Foundation and Jimmy Hart, Hart asking his former team to call him. Let's work this out, guys, but just make sure you call me Collect, baby. Collect call jokes. Different times, guys. As we roll on, Canadian strongman Dino Bravo in the ring with manager Frenchie Martin taking on Frank Valdez, and we get a pre-match promo from Frenchie, all in French. We also get an insert promo from Frenchie during the match, also in French, as it is a inverted atomic drop, a pile driver, and the side suplex. Going to give Dino Bravo a nice short win. Match only goes 1 minute and 35 seconds, exactly how I like my Dino Bravo squashes. As we roll on, it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on big man by the name of Stymie Richards. And Stymie, a fairly big dude for a job guy, but man, does he suck here, missing a corner charge, and Duggan unloads. But on a second try, Stymie going to connect with a corner splash, but goes to the well once too many times, runs into a boot from Big Jim Duggan, who lands the knee drop, 3-point stance, and the leaping clothesline. Going to give Duggan the win. Match only goes 1 minute and 37 seconds. Now you ask, how big was Stymie Richards? Well, he was not just a thick dude, but he was a good almost head taller than Hacksaw Duggan here. So giving Duggan a big brute opponent shows that he can slay those big giants, if you will. So a good nod to Duggan's feud with Andre. As we roll off now to the event center with Sean Mooney, we're going to hear from the Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man, as well as the Ultimate Warrior.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney, and I'll be stationed right here at the WWF Event Center throughout the hour to fill you in on all the news here within the World Wrestling Federation. Part of that news deals with a man who claims to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He says he'll be champion for a long, long time. I'm talking about the Honky Tonk Man. He's standing by with the Colonel.
How's that sound, Jimmy?
I love it, baby.
How's that sound? The greatest Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of all time. Never been beaten, can't be beat, won't be beaten by anybody. I'll take them all, one at a time. I said it before and I'll say it again. You line them up. And I'll knock them down. Brutus, you know what it feels like. When I want to play a tune, baby, I play the right kind. When I want to sing, I sing. When I want to dance, I dance. And when I want to get out there and shake, rattle, and roll, I'm going to shake, rattle, and roll you, Brutus. I'm going to leave you curled up like a pretzel, like old newspaper, and they're going to sweep you out because I'm tired of messing with you. This thing with you's gotten out of hand.
He is the reigning champion, the Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man. Hey, let's talk about another wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation. He seems to be from another dimension. He is the Ultimate Warrior, and he's standing by with a few comments.
By now, all the warriors all over the world know that the Ultimate Warrior has come to the WWF to do one thing: to make a mark and prove that he was the man sent from the heavens above, like the thunder and the lightning, to do only one thing: combat with any and all challengers. I won't let you down. The Warriors can depend on the Ultimate Warrior because you, any evil in the WWF, can bring it to the Ultimate Warrior, and I'll give it back twice as hard. It's a power, it's a force field that nobody can deal with and nobody can stop. It's an awesome force, and the Ultimate Warrior is the only one that controls it. All the little warriors can depend on one thing: the Ultimate Warrior will bring it to ya!
He is the Ultimate Warrior. You can hear the intensity in his voice. Just imagine what it is like when that intensity is transferred to the ring. His opponents have big trouble. And I'm telling you, when this guy arrives at the arena, he lights it up. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way right after this.
So there we hear from the IC champ, Honky Tonk Man manager Jimmy Hart. Honky says line him up, and he'll knock him down, swinging that guitar in the process, specifically mentioning one Brutus the Barber Beefcake. From there, we hear from the Ultimate Warrior, talking to his little warriors out there, explaining his character, sort of. He says he's coming for everyone here in the WWF. He's gonna bring it to ya! Warrior. As we cut to Brady Boone, now apparently eating WWF ice cream bars. Boy, they're really running out of guys to do this at this point. And then it's back to the ring for the Big Boss Man with manager Slick. His opponent this week, Mark Ming. As we get another insert promo here from the Boss Man and Slick, who promise hard labor and law and order will be served now in the WWF. In the ring, it is a spine buster, and the Boss Man slam, putting Ming away. Match only goes 1 minute and 38 seconds, and then post-match, we get the epic handcuffing and beatdown with the nightstick of the Big Boss Man. What an awesome heel shtick this was. And he was great with the character right out of the gate. As we roll off to the Event Center, Sean Mooney back once again, this time talking to the one-man gang and manager Slick, and we'll also hear from Jake the Snake Roberts.
We are back at the WWF Event Center, and we've got some big men in the World Wrestling Federation. Let's play a little guessing game here right now. He is very big. He has a mohawk. He sports tattoos, and he has the patented 747 in the ring with him. You got it. He is the one-man gang. He's standing by right now with Slick.
You know, if that was ever a who's who book published in the WWF, every page would be filled with the heroic deeds of this gentleman right here, 6'9", 483-pound, one-man gang. And then when it came to the page of liberality, the whole article would be on this man because he is liberal in dishing out pain. That's right, the brother don't spare nothing. He leaves no stones unturned when it comes to dishing out pain. And if you don't believe me, why don't you ask Bam Bigelow, because he's somewhere right now soaking in a hot tub because his body is bruised and battered.
He is the big man from Chicago, the one-man gang, along with his manager, the Doctor of Style, Slick. We've got an explosive situation that exists right now in the World Wrestling Federation. No telling how far this grudge will go. Jake the Snake Roberts is standing by with a few comments about ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, Rude, what you gonna find out, man? You got to keep your nose out of my business, to keep your nose on your face. You see, man, that one little trip down the aisle didn't prove nothing. I mean, you might have had some fun. And all men like to have fun as they're growing up, snatching my wife and putting her down. But you're gonna find out that you're not going to have any fun with me. It's not going to be a pleasant trip. It's not going to be a game. It's not going to be something you can smile about either. I'm going to wipe the smile off your face. You're a little bit too cocky. The ego's a little bit too big. And what I'm telling you is this, Rude. It's going to be my turn. And what you going to do then, man? My bed is burning, brother, and it's hard for me to sleep. You think about that.
Jake the Snake Roberts very anxious to meet ravishing Rick Rude in the ring. Of course, you know all this stems from Rude's attempted rude awakening on Jake's wife, Cheryl. He will have the opportunity very soon to settle that score, perhaps return the favor. Look for this. It is going to happen soon. We've got more World Wrestling Federation action coming your way.
So the Slickster gang, they say, ask Bam Bam Bigelow about gang violence. Basically putting Bam Bam Bigelow in the past, and for good reason, gone now from the company. Meanwhile, Jake Roberts warns Rick Rude, this isn't a game. He's going to wipe that smile off of the ravishing one's face when they step into the ring. Wouldn't want to be Rick Rude right now as we head back to the ring for tag team action. British Bulldogs taking on Steve Lombardi and Barry Horowitz. And we get another insert promo from the fabulous Rougeaus during another Bulldog match. Coincidence? I don't know. The fabulous Rougeaus believe that the Bulldogs, they're a pretty good team, but they'd be better if Matilda was gone. I mean, they ain't wrong. But Rougeaus say the Bulldogs are great, but the Rougeaus are fabulous. Gotta love the Rougeau brothers right now. Meanwhile, in the ring, Dynamite Kid snaps suplex on Horowitz, followed by the running power slam by Davey Boy, and then Smith pressing Dynamite high in the air for the diving headbutt down onto Barry. Gonna give the Bulldogs the win. Match goes 2 minutes, 43 seconds. And we saw his debut here last week on Wrestling Challenge. Now it's time for the Brother Love Show with his very first guests, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Virgile.
Thank you so very much. You know, last time that I stood before you, I left you with a message. A message of love. And I am sincere when I say I love you. But until now, I did not know whether or not I could continue to bring you my message of love. The very thought of you being denied my message from my heart was simply overwhelming to me. But now we can all rejoice because of one man's love for you. His love is so great. He has provided me with the appropriate resources so that I can be right here each and every week and bring you my message of love. This great benefactor is none other than the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Brother DiBiase, welcome. Brother Virgile, welcome.
Well, I've been telling you people for a long, long time now, week in and week out, ever since the first day I set foot in the World Wrestling Federation, that each and every one of you That's each and every one of you occupying a seat in this Coliseum tonight, and each and every one of you people sitting at home watching on television. And I'm going to tell you again right now, everybody's got a price. But more specifically, everybody's got a price for Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man.
Did you hear him? Did you hear what he said? He loves you. I love you. We all love you. Each and every one of you.
So this week, Brother Love introducing his first true guests here. Brother $1 Million Man and Brother Virgile, yes. Brother Virgile, I love it. But it's here where we learn that Ted Dibiase, well, he explains that he is the reason the Brother Love show exists. For Dibiase is the benefactor of the program. Good way to explain the show's existence. Good way to add heat onto Bruce Pritchard's gimmick, connecting him with the top heel, Ted Dibiase, but at the same time, no explanation as to why Dibiase wants this show to exist, other than to piss people off. From there, we get a replay from last week, Greg Valentine injuring Superstar Graham on Superstars, and then it's back to the ring for singles action. Bam Bigelow making his final WWF TV appearance with Oliver Humperdinck in his corner, taking on the intruder, Jesse Cortez under the hood there. In the matchup, it's a standing dropkick from Bigelow, followed by the diving headbutt and a slingshot splash, giving Bigelow one final win here on TV. Match goes 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And what started off as a lion ends as a lamb. A year ago, Bam Bigelow began working the house shows, preparing for his debut, of which all the heel managers battled for him. They all wanted to manage Bam Bigelow, only for Oliver Humperdinck to be selected as his manager. And the monster push began in the late summer. It appeared Bigelow was clearly being built as an unstoppable babyface monster. Teaming with Hulk Hogan at times, he was the final man on the babyface side of the main event of the Survivor Series, battling Andre the Giant. But the knee injuries began in January here of '88, and he just never fully recovered, both physically and also his push. Now, he missed the '88 Royal Rumble he was scheduled to be a part of, might have won it, who knows, but he was on and off the house shows with a bad knee for the first several months of the year. If you guys remember correctly, he was even 50-50 to make it to WrestleMania 4, where he was eliminated in the first round in just 4 minutes' time. Now, in later shoot interviews, Bigelow claimed to re-aggravate his bad knee at WrestleMania when he took the bump to the floor, but he also blew out his good knee in the process there. And of course, that would help try to add some heat to the quote-unquote feud he was supposed to have with the one-man gang. It never really took off. In fact, they spent more time building up Junkyard Dog versus the Outlaw Ron Bass than they did Bigelow and gang here on TV. Never a cross word outside of that match at WrestleMania. But going back to the Bammer himself, his impressive explosive agility, the speed that made him stand out, when that was halted with the bum knee, he relied on his power moves earlier here in '88, which were easily also believable from a guy his size. But in later years, Bam would claim he kept wanting time off to rehab the knee and recover 100%. But Vince McMahon constantly pushed for him to be back on the road. And for less pay, it seems as though once Bigelow got the injury, he wasn't making the same money that he was prior to. So the end result? Bigelow quits the World Wrestling Federation. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. His final match, Madison Square Garden, doing a job on the way out to Andre the Giant, and then he quits the company. One final big payday, you would have to imagine. But by the time this airs, Bam Bigelow is officially gone from the WWF. Now, we'll see him garner success in Japan, make some stops off working for the NWA off and on, but Bam won't return to the World Wrestling Federation until the Halloween Day 1992 edition of WWF Superstars. Almost another 4.5 years before Bam Bigelow will return to the WWF. And it was a fun ride while it lasted. So much potential there. as you have to believe we were eventually leading to, ultimately, a Bigelow heel turn to headline against the Hulkster. But it never came to fruition, guys, and Bam Bigelow now officially gone for the World Wrestling Federation as we end June of 1988. But as we end this episode of Wrestling Challenge, one more event center, guys. Sean Mooney going to talk with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and the fabulous Rougeaus.
Once again, we are back at the WWF Event Center. We have got some champions. In the Macho Man, Randy Savage, he is the undisputed champ, but he's got a lot of contenders out there. One he must keep constant watch for. He is the #1 contender, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He's standing by right now with his bodyguard, Virgil.
Money, money, money. Money comes to money. And everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. It's been almost a year since I come on the scene in the World Wrestling Federation, and you mark my word, you look down the list, I've done it all. I've done everything that I said I would do. Only one rock is left unturned, Randy Savage. There's only one thing that has seemed to elude me, and you're wearing it around your waist. That gold World Wrestling Federation heavyweight title is the only thing that I don't have yet. And when I get it, baby, I'll have it all. I'll have all the money, I'll have all the power, and you, Randy Savage, will be history. And that you can count on. I always get what I want. Take that to the bank.
Here's the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He has fought for, I don't know if he has earned it, but he has a title shot. We've got a couple of other guys who have been working very hard. They want a title shot at the tag team belts. They are the fabulous Rougeau Brothers, Jacques and Raymond.
Hi, I'm Jacques.
And I'm Raymond.
No, just kidding. I'm Raymond, and this is Jacques.
We switched.
We're the fabulous Rougeau Brothers.
You know, just when you people are starting to recognizing us, I think now we shouldn't have played that, Raymond, but it's okay. But now the most important thing is we have to tell you that with our new support we've been getting with you people, because we are getting a new support that we never had, Raymond. It feels great. It really does.
Well, you know what I think it is I think the people aren't confusing us so much with Dino Bravo anymore. So instead of having 10 or 15% that are booing us, I think 99% of you people love us.
You know, I think there's another thing, too, we got to take into consideration. Although we're French-Canadians, since we're moving to the United States, we're soon to be Americans. Well, we love you, too.
They are the fabulous Rougeau Brothers. There are a lot of great tag teams out there looking for a shot. The Bolsheviks, the British Bulldogs, we've got the Killer Bees. But the fabulous Rougeau Brothers, they feel that they have earned it. They are looking for a big title shot. They want to be wearing those tag team belts.
DiBiase says he always gets what he wants, and you can take that to the bank. Randy Savage, $1 Million Man, hasn't forgotten about the Macho Man and certainly hasn't forgotten about his quest to become the World Wrestling Federation champion. Meanwhile, the Rougeaus, they tricked us, guys. Jacques and Raymond, referring to themselves as their brothers. Just kidding, we switched. I wrote LOL, great nonsensical heel stuff there, as they say they believe that 99% of the crowd is now cheering the Rougeau brothers, who are soon to be U.S. citizens. I just can't get enough of their stuff, and I strongly encourage anything you see of heel Rougeaus to go out and watch it, especially their promos. As we continue on, we've got one more piece of TV here for this episode of The Grenade. It's the June 27th edition of Primetime Wrestling, as always, hosted by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. We go off now to the intro, and of course, at the end of that intro, we're always reminded of that time that Bobby Heenan had to push Gorilla Monsoon down the Atlantic City boardwalk in the cart. And they're going to talk a little bit more about that, and then some.
I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Prime. You know, it does my heart good to see you pushing me down that boardwalk in Atlantic City every week.
Too bad there wasn't a cliff there.
What was you going to do if there was a cliff? I'm very surprised to see you even sitting here and in relatively good condition. After all the open contracts you signed, I figure we might be talking this week about your demise instead of the demise of superstar Billy Graham later on.
Told you, it's a piece of cake. Nothing to worry about. You were concerned with my well-being, weren't you?
Obviously, yeah. And
there's nobody to sit across from me, then you can smack in the face with boards and give them smoke alarms that don't work in the house and stuff, and smash faces in the cake. Oh, I don't have enough time to go on and tell the people all the things you've done to me.
But you don't object, right? Because Brother Love has shown you the way.
He has changed my life.
Well, he certainly has.
Unfortunately, changed your life, too.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been for the better. Featured this week here on Primetime, the Hacksaw, the guy with a 2x4. Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on the big 747.
The one-man gang.
Seems like he's been.
He is, huh?
Oh, big violent man. It seems like Hacksaw Duggan's been trying to push around a lot of big people, and you know what's going to happen eventually. Hacksaw's going to be Jigsaw. There's going to be some pieces missing.
Well, he did a pretty good job of pushing around one big guy, no? You said that's not your concern anymore. That's Andre's business now.
Roll it.
No, we're not ready to roll it. We've got exciting matches lined up. We're going to be taking a look at George the Animal Steele later on. The fabulous Rougeau Brothers will be joining us. Absolutely. Would you like to explain this to me? According to my little sheet here, it says that Brother Love is up next.
We
had
yes.
Brother Love last. What's the deal here?
Brother Love may be here every week.
Oh, please.
He may be here for an hour.
Please. You wouldn't do that to me, would
He's
you?
bringing love to you, to me,
let's see
to
if
the humanoids.
I got the stuff for the agita. Let's go take a look.
So Gorilla always loves reminiscing about the time that Bobby pushed him down the boardwalk in Atlantic City. The Brain quips he just wishes there had been a cliff. Gorilla, meanwhile, surprised that Bobby Heenan's still moving around after all those open contracts signed by the Ultimate Warrior. Lots of weasel suit matches in recent weeks here on the house shows between the Warrior and Bobby the Brain. But Bobby not going to get upset as he's found new peace, all thanks to Brother Love. As we continue on, one more soundbite here this week on the Grenade. We're going to go back, more Bobby Heenan talk, as Gorilla Monsoon questions him about the former king, Harley Race.
I understand you're putting to rest once and for all the king?
Well, I want you to see this little piece of,
Let's take a look. It's self-explanatory. That was very touching. However, the tolling of the bell is sacred for someone who is no longer with us, who's passed away. The king hasn't died.
No, but he's no longer
Just
with
because
us.
he doesn't pour that revenue into your pocket like he used to do.
Don't discuss that now with me. I don't want to discuss money when you talk about the King Harley Race.
Well, that's what it's all about.
No, it isn't all about that.
For you,
members
it
of
is.
my family, we're together
Why
here.
Why don't you send a guy a card then, or a letter, or call
I've
him
been
on
to
the phone.
visit him 3 times a day since he's been ill. When I'm in the neighborhood and get the chance,
sure.
well, I'm not always in
you
Kansas
happen to be
City.
Passing by, right?
No, I make an effort to pass by, but I have other things I have to do. He understands.
Why are you upset?
Because you're trying to turn him against me now. I've sent flowers and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I bet
They
you
died,
have.
too. They were lousy. They got there late. Wasn't my fault. It was the florist's.
Gorilla pointing out to the Brain, the king hasn't died. Harley Race is still very much alive. So Gorilla says, Harley Race is not dead. Bobby Heenan's response, no, but he's no longer with us. Bobby then dismissing Harley Race, I've sent him flowers and stuff. Okay. New king right around the corner, guys. Stay tuned for that very soon here on the Grenade here. In July of 1988, only one exclusive this week here on Primetime, taped June 21st, Glens Falls, New York, at the Civic Center. It's a quick George the Animal Steel squash. Gonna get that mind doll over. George getting a win here over Scott Colantonio with that flying hammerlock O'Doom. Very quick win. The match only goes 1 minute and 11 seconds, and that's going to close up the month of June here in 1988. Fun times, fun promos, fun segments, great debuts. Lots going on right now as the summer continues on in the World Wrestling Federation. Technically, the summer began in the latter half of June, and it is indeed getting hot and heavy here in the World Wrestling Federation. I've been promising it for a few weeks now. Some debuts here. The Brother Love Show. Hey, mine is here. Big Boss Man, The Rockers, and we're not done yet. Powers of Pain, Mr. Perfect, The Blue Blazer, Terry Taylor. Eventually, we'll even get to Arn and Tully, the Brainbusters, I believe in September or so. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of the listeners out there, all of our patrons, all the supporters who share, retweet, like, and subscribe to everything that we do here as part of the WrestleCopia brand. Without you guys, I know it sounds cliche, and it's something that everyone might say, but it's very true, especially here with the WrestleCopia brand, as without your support, we just couldn't do it. So I want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart, and do not forget to check out all of the great podcasts over at WrestleCopia.com. Lots of new podcasts added, and more to come very soon here in the summer of 2024, so stay tuned for that. Of course, all of our podcasts also available everywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. Be sure to follow me on X at Wrestling Grenade. Follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And I truly ask you guys, lots of big bills coming up here as we are now celebrating our 4-year anniversary. Can you believe it, guys? This week, our 4-year anniversary of the WrestleCopia brand. And that means the annual bills are beginning to come due. That includes the podcast hosting bill, not cheap, and the software editing bill, also not cheap, so we certainly appreciate any support you could give by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. 2 great tiers there. I strongly recommend, of course, always that $5 all access tier. We also have a deluxe superfan tier with even more options, including the upcoming WrestleFest 88 videocast, which will cover the entire event, all 14, 15 matches, something like that, and so much more. Again, that address, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Every penny keeps us going, keeps us afloat here. As part of the WrestleCopia brand, we want to thank you guys again so very much. And when we return next time, it's July 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. It just gets hotter and hotter. Going to look at all the news and results for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. But until next time, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
Dibiase, welcome. Brother Virgil, welcome.
Everybody's got a price. But more specifically, everybody's got a price for Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.